So this morning I want to talk about the news, specifically television and digital media news, like visual news, and that everyone is playing a character. Now, do I know this to 100%? That every single person you see on the news is playing a character? No. But from my experience and observation, there's a level of play acting that goes on in everything you see that I don't think a lot of people realize. That the person you see on Fox News or CNN or Vice or BuzzFeed, they're themselves but playing a character of themselves. In order to make good TV or good visual content, you kind of have to exaggerate elements of yourself. And, just as the person, just as I, of saying like, oh, I've never tried a Lunchable before, wow, on a BuzzFeed video, that's play acting. My normal talking voice is lower, I'm much more laconic day to day, but when you see me in videos, because you want that content to be good and you know kind of what the producer is looking for, and what will hit with an audience, you're playing it up. You're playing a character of yourself. You're either playing a more higher energy version of yourself, a more comedic version of yourself, a more cynical version of yourself. You're leaning into a type of opinion your personality has, and then you lean more into it. And this is true whether it's a person you see on BuzzFeed to Tucker Carlson on Fox News. Everybody's playing a character of themselves. So I think it's sometimes important to distinguish what you see, on the television isn't really them in real life. And of course, we all know that with movies, right? That's a very clear, that's been, studied in lots of, psychology documents, something called a parasocial relationship, where you think you have a relationship with somebody you've never met because you know them as who they appear to be on the computer or the television screen or the movie, right? And that's really frequent with, movie stars. But that exists equally so in the news. So when Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson or Don Lemon at CNN or the person you see in a BuzzFeed video or now this video, it's all a little bit of play acting. Tucker Carlson doesn't, I don't believe, I've never met him personally, actually hold all the views he espouses, at least not to the extent he says so on television. And you can get a rough read of this if you watch a couple episodes of Tucker Carlson on Fox News versus watch him for a 90-minute C-SPAN interview about his book. You will see two completely different people. And just because it's hard to hide when you have to talk for 90 minutes unedited, you kind of see who the real person is and not the character or the caricature they don when the lights come on, the producer's feeding them information, they have a show to do every day. And then they're leaning into a certain aspect of who they are to get an audience. And it's all a little bit phony, I guess is my point. And this is good and bad. It's good in the sense that everything you see is a little bit phony, and that Tucker Carlson actually isn't probably the bigot, racist, anti-immigrant person you perceive him to be on the television. Nor is Sean Hannity probably at the end of the day when he gets home. Sean Hannity, I think, is playing a character, and he gets paid handsomely to do so. And that character is exaggerated over time as he realizes that character, that conservative character that he plays on television, has become more successful. And that's true to that extent, all the way down to examples of Now This News talking about how don't use the word marijuana anymore because it's racist, right? That video. The Now This News video, don't use marijuana because it's a racist word derived from marijuana. This guy, Now This, do you think he actually cares at the end of the day? No. He's trying to think, what will make good content? I'm going to lean into this. I'm going to lean into this kind of social justice type. This character is going to appeal to an audience. I'm going to act a little bit outraged. I'm going to act because that leans into either the audience that I'm trying to capture, or I know at least will cause controversy, right? So everybody's hamming it up a little bit. And we know this intrinsically with movies, that people are obviously acting. But I don't think anybody really tells point blank people, the average person in Nebraska, like, hey, the guy you're watching, they're playing a character. And I don't care if that's Rachel Maddow, on MSNBC, or Tucker Carlson on Fox News. Both of them are leaning in and playing a caricature of themselves, because that's the best way to get an audience, to make compelling content at the end of the day. And then they kind of take that mask off when the lights are over and their show's done for the day, and they revert back to a more measured level self. And if you don't believe me, I mean, a good operating principle is that most successful people don't get to where they are by being total idiots. People are generally more thoughtful than upon first impression in real life. So I think it's just it's an important thing to like kind of explicitly tell somebody that everything you see is phony to a certain extent. It's being produced. That's why there's producers behind the teleprompter. That's why they build up personalities. I can tell that just from personal experience and the way I behave, the way my friends behave in media, with digital media, like now this BuzzFeed, Vice, whether it's the Try Guys, they're playing into a persona, So, yeah, there's it's not like the even Anderson Cooper, I think, plays into a certain, type of himself, and that the Anderson Cooper in real life would be different than the Anderson Cooper that you see every night and the views he holds on television versus the views he holds in real life. Anyway, that's just a thought for the morning. Hope you guys have a good one. Enjoy.